Hello everyone, welcome, and today we're going to be talking about something a little bit different. We're going to be talking about Japan and Japanese games. More specifically, we're going to be talking about software sales. Now, why are we talking about this? Well, it seems like Nintendo has created a bit of history this week. There's a magazine called Famitsu, and they do a game software sales ranking, and Nintendo has taken the top 30 spots this week in the sales ranking, which is a pretty incredible feat when you think about it, given Nintendo and Sony have been battling in that region for the longest time. So there's a lot to talk about here in terms of the games that people like to play, the platforms they like to play on, and also the way that the living environment influences the games that people like to play. Okay, so if you like this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. And we have a Discord server, so come along and join us there, and I'll leave a link in the description below. Okay, let's go to the news, and I have a tweet here from Game Data Library. And the tweet is, all top 30 best-selling retail games in Japan last week were Nintendo Switch titles. First time a top 30 is from a single console since at least November 1988, when the top 30 was Famicom only. It wasn't that unusual during the early 1990s for the top 30 to be a combination of Famicom, Super Famicom, and Game Boy games, but never just one. This is unprecedented. It's the first time all 30 games are from the same system after the top 30 tracked all platforms. So back in the 80s, a little bit of a history lesson, but if we take a look at the list of best-selling game consoles, you can see that the NES sold 61 million units or 62 million units, and it was released in 1983, so it came first. And then the Master System released in 1986, so it came out almost 3 years later, and it sold 10 million units. So obviously at the time already, a lot of people had already started to buy the NES, and people who were late to the party probably figured that they should just jump on the most successful console, and that's probably what happened during the 80s with the NES era. Now, obviously, to turn things around, Sega decided to release their console first the next time around. So they created the Sega Genesis, and this released in 1988. So this sold 31 million units, and the SNES released a bit later in 1990, and it sold 50 million units. So as you can see, it started to eat some of that market share from Nintendo. And so that's when in the 90s we had Nintendo and Sega battling it out. But back in the 80s, it was pretty much all dominated by the Famicom or the NES. Okay, let's go to the game software sales ranking for this week. And this is where all 30 titles are from Nintendo Switch. And so the first title, it's a bit ironic because this is actually published by Microsoft Japan, and that's Minecraft on the Switch, and it sold 14,912 units this week for a total lifetime sales of 2.1 million units. Number 2 is The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD. This is the remaster of the Wii game. And so you know, it's funny now, like Nintendo can pretty much remaster anything and it will probably sell over 1 million units. So I think this will probably sell 1 million in Japan. Number 3 is a game that I've never heard of. It's called Crayon Shin-chan Aura and Dr. Summer Vacation, a 7-day trip that doesn't end. So I don't know about this video game. I've never heard of it. And the other thing is that this website is usually published in Japanese, and I've just done a Google Translate, so maybe that hasn't translated very well. The next title you obviously know is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's 13,615 units, and this game just keeps on giving. Like, they could just remaster Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Nintendo Switch too, and it'll probably sell like just as many units because everyone wants a copy of Mario Kart on their Nintendo system. The next game is Ring Fit Adventure, and I guess this came out at the perfect time. So Nintendo are doing pretty well in terms of when to release games, and I thought, you know, the Wii Fit fad was pretty much over after the Wii U Fit, but obviously with everybody locked down in Japan last year, this did really well. People live in apartments in Japan as well, and maybe they can't get to gyms or do some exercise at home, so this was really another way for them to do more exercise and keep fit at home. The next title I've never heard of, this is Momotaro Dentetsu Showa Heisei Reiwa, is also a staple. I've never heard of this game, but perhaps maybe I should, because it sold 2.3 million units in Japan, which puts it at the level of a Nintendo game. This is published by Konami. We don't really see too many Konami games these days in the West, but maybe this is why, because they've decided to just develop for their own audience. The next game is Monster Hunter Stories 2. So this is a Monster Hunter game for a younger audience, and maybe we'll also see Monster Hunter Rise on the list as well here. But this came out recently, a couple of weeks ago, I think. So it sold 205 units lifetime. Number 8 is another Nintendo Evergreen title. So this sold 9,000 units this week. I'm sure everybody has Super Smash Bros. That wants Super Smash Bros. By now. This sold 4.3 million units in Japan, and I believe 24 million units worldwide. So it's another huge hit. The next game is eBaseball Professional Baseball Spirits 2021 Grand Slam. Okay, so number 10 is with navigation game programming for the first time. Now this is called Game Builder Studio in the West, and I thought about getting this game, but I figured it looked a little bit too much like it was a lot more programming rather than playing games, so I kind of decided not to. But this really focuses on like the first steps as programming a game. Okay, so for games from 11 to 30, I'm just going to flash those titles onto the screen so I don't waste too much of your time just naming the titles. And we'll go to the next bit, which is I wanted to show you what titles dropped out of the rankings from last week. And as you can see, this is the last week's titles, and we have at number 10, PS4, The World Ends With You. And then we also have Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts 2, also on the PS4. And we have Ace Attorney Chronicles on PS4 and Ark Ultimate Survivor on PS4. So not very many titles, and if it's a slow week, then those newer titles from PS4 obviously are going to just drop off the rankings. Okay, so I wanted to round this off by looking at the hardware numbers in Japan, and these are also from Famitsu, but these are last week's numbers. I couldn't get this week's numbers, but this should give you an idea of how the Nintendo Switch is doing compared to the other consoles. So the Nintendo Switch this week sold 62,000 units. The PS5 sold 22,000 units. So people in Japan obviously prefer that portability aspect. And that's a lot to do with the lifestyle as well, because in Japan, their houses or where they're living in are a lot smaller. They might live in apartments more. And so they enjoy that portability aspect because they can also take it outside of their home. So that is why the Nintendo Switch has done so well over there. And if you look at the lifetime sales numbers in the last column here, the Nintendo Switch sold 20 million units in its lifetime. The 3DS sold 24 million units in its lifetime. And the PS4, which is on sale, been on sale for a lot longer than the Nintendo Switch, 3 more years in fact, it's only sold 9 million units. Well, I think this is really interesting in terms of the games that Japan likes to play. And if they tend to play more on portable systems, and we're seeing a Steam Deck come out in the West as well, if they like to play on more portable systems, where the development of games goes that way as well. I still think that we're going to have a ton of games for the PS5 because the PS5 is doing really well in the West and it's growing, but we might also see a lot of portable games as well, and that's really exciting. Okay, so that's going to be it for this one. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next one.